When I got my first 3D printer more than a decade ago, the very first project I made with it was this replica of Obi-Wan's lightsaber from the original Star Wars movie. And then when I got my first resin printer, which can print in a higher detail, I made that same 3D model again to compare the abilities of that new machine. And so when Makera sent me their Carvera Air CNC mill, I of course knew that I would be making another lightsaber to demonstrate and test the capabilities of this new machine. Where a 3D printer builds up layers to create a 3D shape, a CNC is going to start with a chunk of material and then carve it away to build that object. And what I want to do is make Luke Skywalker's lightsaber from Return of the Jedi. And with this technology, I'll be able to make that out of aluminum like the original prop. Not having any experience with the Makera system beforehand, I treated this project as a practice piece. I'm not really trying to make the perfect lightsaber, but I'm just using that as a way to try out different things and try to get a good handle on how to use the machine.
I 3D modeled the lightsaber in Fusion 360, based on the drawings by Roy at wanawanga.com. The final piece will be about 11 inches long. I could fit that on the rotational 4th axis attachment of the machine in 2 pieces, but there's a 5-piece version of this that will give me the best control over each section of the saber. I have to add pegs to the ends of the parts to carve away as much material as possible while not having the part fall off. So each piece gets prepped like this and then loaded into the Carvera software, Makera Cam. My basic approach was to use a rough pass with the 3mm wide by 12mm long flat end metal cutting bit. Then a tighter finishing pass with either the same bit or a fine pointed engraving bit, going vertical instead of horizontal as the first pass was. This is what it looks like in the software for the first pass and the second. Then I would send that over to the machine and begin aligning and cutting. It took about a week to mill all 5 pieces. One of the trade-offs with this machine is it can't cut very quickly, but for a personal project like this, that's really not a problem. There are a few facts about the machine that Makera has asked me to mention. This has a quick tool changer and auto probing and leveling that you'll see me using here. The spindle runout is less than 0.01 millimeters for ultrafine details, and it uses closed loop stepper motors for accuracy. The 4th axis that you're seeing here is an optional accessory, and there is also a laser module that you can get. The machine is suitable for wood, plastic, aluminum, brass, etc. And as you'll notice, the machine has a fully enclosed design intended to reduce noise and dust for a cleaner workspace. And I will say, from outside my garage, you can barely hear it running. It's compatible with not just their software, but other CAM softwares as well, if you want to get into that. Now, back to the project. Some mistakes were made, but it's nothing I can't fix in later steps. If this were a professional project, I would probably redo the part. But for this practice learning experience, I can live with that. The pommel is actually the best example of the capabilities of this machine. So far, we've been making parts that could have been made on a lathe that just spins constantly. But this piece has these little blocks at the bottom that really take advantage of the Carvera cutting a 3D object that can't simply be spun in one move. I loaded the roughing and finishing passes onto the machine together, and it was able to go straight from one to the next because I set them both up using the same 3mm bit. Then I cut the parts free of the aluminum stock with the bandsaw and took down the support pegs with a Dremel. For that notch I took out of the emitter flange, I used some epoxy putty to fill the gap. And then I'll further disguise that in paint. To clean up the rough ends on the parts that needed it, I mounted them onto the bed for simple 3D carving passes to try to remove the roughness and that support peg and get a perfect smooth surface. Next time I would plan for this in advance and leave some extra material on the model to be intentionally carved away. To attach these parts together, I'm going to use some pieces of threaded rod to screw each piece onto the next. So I marked the center on each one with this handy 3D printed center finder and drilled and tapped the parts for 1/4-20 threads. This isn't actually the first time I've made Luke's lightsaber from scratch. Years ago, I had a neighbor who had a wood lathe that he would make all sorts of projects on, and he helped me use that machine to make this lightsaber out of a block of wood, which I then sanded and painted to look like metal. That is the same lightsaber as the one I'm making now as far as the story of the movies are concerned, but they're based on two different props. My wooden lightsaber was based on the hero prop that was made for a couple of close-up shots. But the new one that I'm making now is based on what fans call the V2, which was the one that Luke holds in most of the movie. So there are some differences in the details, and especially in the paint. The V2 has chipped paint all over because that prop actually started out as the special effects lightsaber handle for Obi-Wan in the original Star Wars movie. So it had actually already been through a lot by the time they got to filming Return of the Jedi. And that's the paint that I'm going to be mimicking on this project. This is another reason that it's nice to be able to split the model into pieces, since some of the parts have different colors. I started by masking off with tape any clean lines that needed to stay silver. Then I took some latex that's tinted to make it a little easier to see and carefully dabbed that around everywhere I wanted the paint to look chipped off. And I did that on all the parts that would get paint. I made sure to leave the spot I repaired bare so that it would get painted black and disguise that mistake. Once the latex was dry, I spray painted the parts. And when that paint was mostly dry, I peeled off the latex. This is the fun part. As it peels away, the end result is revealed. And I think that's a pretty good representation of the actual prop. You can see that my repair job on the emitter flange is nicely disguised too. And now all the parts twist together. I made the hanging hook out of a piece of steel wire bent into shape and inserted into a hole that I drilled into the part. I also prepped some of the other parts for extra details. There are some pieces on this lightsaber that I won't be making myself. Fortunately, I had them all on hand since I've been planning on doing this project in one way or another for a long time. The Graflex clamp and cone knob come from Roman Props. The stud came from Wanawanga, and the clamp card is by Sloth Furnace. I'll post links to all of these in the description. With all of that assembled, I'd call this a success. There were certainly ups and downs in getting acquainted with the Carvera system, but the end product is very satisfying. If you'd like to know more about the Carvera, there are links in the description for their website. I'll have other projects I intend to use this for, so subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you on the next one.
Thank you.